I, honest to God, do not think Pokemon would be where it is right now without the line. I do not think Pokemon goes on to be the most profitable brand period ever, or franchise ever, or game, whatever the fuck. I know they're the most like profitable something. Okay, they do not go on to be that without line. All right, gonna transition and move into the Pokemon starter tier list now. So Froakie, Scorbunny, and Sobble. These are from Sword and Shield, and I have got to be honest with you guys. I did not enjoy those games probably in the slightest. I don't think there was even like 5 things I enjoyed about Sword and Shield. It is what it is. So that being said, I am contractually obligated to not place these any higher than C. I don't know if they're going to be lower than that, but they cannot be any higher than C. That is guaranteed. They cannot be any higher. They might be lower, but they can't be higher. Sucks to suck. Sucks to suck. I'm sorry. That whole region, kind of ass. Not gonna lie to you. Tepig. The thing about Tepig is its first and second evolutions are kind of meh. And then you get to Emboar and things start changing up and being sick again. It does have a sick shiny as well. But that middle line is just, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is this middle line? What the hell is this? I don't know how high Tepig can go. I think Tepig's better than the entirety of the Galar region. Sobble is the worst. Sobble is the worst of these 3. I might even put Sobble E. I'm not gonna lie. Froakie and Scorbunny. Let me remind myself here. What were their lines? I mean, if their evolution line was this, if the evolution line for Scorbunny ended in Big Chungus and Bugs Burn, it'd be fire. But these are just kind of boring. Like, you have like a weird little ninja theme going on with the second evolution here. It's got like a scarf and whatnot, and then it just kind of throws the whole ninja line out. It doesn't help that this entire line is built off of like kicking things. They got big feet, long legs, then they just kick the shit out of things. And the kicking animations in that game were dog shit. Doesn't help its case. Now, if we look at the Froakie evolution line, it's a little bit better. The only thing I dislike about the Froakie evolution line is that the 3rd evolution gets a drum, which is fine. It's cool. And I get that it's supposed to be a drummer and it's like a punk drummer. You know, like this on its own looks really, really cool. But I just don't like how they have an external drum. So I think Froakie out of the 3 has the best one. So it's a B class. Straight up, we're not even going to look at Sobble. Don't even ask me. If anything, I see them being like this. But I think it is on the same level as Tepig. Now we get into the real heavy hitters, okay? These are probably the 4 most problematic starters in my mind. The heaviest hitter of them all, Cyndaquil, is S tier. My favorite starter of all time. There's going to be a couple other S tiers, but Cyndaquil was my first favorite starter Pokemon. If you weren't here for the stream yesterday, you don't have the extended B2K lore, where the very first piece of internet content B2K ever put out in his entire life was a slideshow of Cyndaquil photos. I'm just saying that probably got like 12 views. That's 12 more views than you've got, buddy. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that I'm a content prodigy. I'm just saying I've been doing it better than most since the very beginning. Nobody ever could put out such a slideshow quite as enthralling as B2K. I'm just saying. It's the truth. And I always used to play Cyndaquil in the mystery dungeon games, like Red and Blue. Always Cyndaquil. And I would like look up the questions I need to answer and how I need to answer them to get Cyndaquil. I did not give a fuck about doing the mystery dungeon quiz normally. I just wanted Cyndaquil. So Cyndaquil, easy S tier for me. I can't really even explain what I like about Cyndaquil. I was just a young kid. I saw it. Fire Pokemon. It's got fire on his back. Dope, sick, nasty, okay? Anyway, moving on, we have Squirtle. Squirtle is guaranteed A tier, could be A+, could even be S tier. But Squirtle is one of the ones where I feel like I need to wait a little bit. Blastoise is one of the sickest Pokemon to ever exist. A turtle with twin water cannons is sick as fuck. Squirtle's dope. And the cool Squirtle with the glasses, extra dope. But Wartortle is where the line falls a bit short for me. Wartortle is the only spot in the line where I'm like, that really, that's not the coolest thing they could have done. It's just purple. It's kind of weird how it changes color and then goes back to blue. It's an A+ because of Blastoise. It's held back from me being S+ because of Wartortle. Now you might be saying, well, what about Quilava? Because Quilava might be one of the weakest secondary evolutions of a starter of all time, but it's my favorite starter Pokemon, so it remains an S tier no matter what. Piplup is just fire S tier. Everything about the Piplup line is just flames. Empoleon, Piplup itself is fucking cute as hell. Flames, even though it's a water ice Pokemon with steel and whatnot, everything about the line is flames. Empoleon is one of the best third evolutions of a starter of all time. Peepo-G, of course. Take notes. Take notes. This is the proper, correct tier list. This is the only possible way you could ever rank the starter Pokemon and actually be right. Anything other than this, you're just lying. And you are, I mean, you're probably a politician if you're lying that well. Let's be real. Moving on to Froakie. Listen, what's propping Froakie up and why Froakie is about to get an S tier? Froakie, one of the sickest shiny lines and third evolution shinies of all time. I actually have a shiny Greninja. Just looking at it, I know you're jealous of the fact that I have a shiny Greninja. Look at this fucking thing. I know you're jealous. This is why the Froakie line is S tier. The shiny Greninja is Omega Flames, and I have one, and you're jealous. I know you are. I will tell you, the shiny Froakie was my longest shiny hunt ever. I was Masuda methoding it. I had some of the highest odds for a shiny you could possibly get, and it still took me longer than every other shiny I've ever caught. Insane. Insane how long it took me to get that. But literally S tier off the shiny Greninja alone. The rest of the line could be utter dog shit. Everything else could be the worst possible Pokemon ever. And just off of shiny Greninja alone, it would be S tier. Anyway, moving on to Mudkip. So here's the thing. Do I think Swampert is better than Blastoise? Here's why Squirtle and Mudkip are pretty much neck and neck. I think Blastoise overall is a cleaner, cooler, and better third evolution than Swampert. Not to say Swampert's bad. Don't get me wrong. I love Swampert. But what the Mudkip line has over the Squirtle line is the second evolution, Marshtomp. I think they are both A+. I could see Mudkip being S+. But that's just my Generation 3 bias. If I try to remove all Generation 3 bias from my brain, I honestly think Mudkip is an A+. But they're like neck and neck with each other. Mudkip and Squirtle are like neck and neck. But I'm putting Mudkip a little bit over Squirtle simply because better second evolution, Gen 3 bias. It is what it is. I'm also starting to notice they pretty much always bang out the water generations, and then they started fumbling the fucking bag really hard. The water starters used to be like Omega top tier, and then they started fumbling the bag. All right, Totodile, another easy S tier. Do I think it's better than Piplup? Well, you got Feraligatr, you got Croconaw. I can't remember the second evolution name of Piplup, so I'm putting Totodile above it. It doesn't beat out shiny Greninja, though. There's zero chance it beats out shiny Greninja. Snivy, one of the worst grass starters I've ever seen. I do not like how it goes from... All right, so Snivy starts out super sick. Super smug. It's got all its limbs. And you're like, this could go somewhere nice. And then it loses all of its limbs, and it becomes Survivor or whatever the fuck, and it's like a snake. Why? Why though? Why did you have to make it a snake? Snivy could have been so dope. Not to say snake Pokemon aren't dope, but make it a snake off rip. Like, why does it have limbs and then lose them? That's the part I don't like about Snivy. Do I think it's better than Scorbunny though? Yes. I also think it's better than Tepig. So I'm going to put it up in B tier. I think it is the A-class gatekeep. You have to be better than Snivy to get into A-class. You have to pass the Snivy test in order to get an A+, an A grade, okay? Oshawott. I really like Oshawott, and I like the line. Do not like the third evolution. Oshawott's third evolution, it's not terrible, and I'm not going to call it a fumble, but I don't think it's that great. Especially when you talk about Duat, its secondary evolution, and how dope Duat is. Look at this. And then like he's got shells for like quick little accesses like shurikens and whatnot. And then it becomes why does it become that? Not to say that Samurot's not cool, I just don't think it fits the line. Like honestly, Oshawott to me was supposed to be like the first Greninja, like samurai Pokemon or whatever, and then it became this. If they kept it bipedal and they did something kind of like this, I mean, this is way overdone. This is way overdone. But if they kept it something like this, I think the line would be way better. But I'm not going to call it a fumble. Samurot's not that bad. It's not great either. So Oshawott, honestly, Oshawott's better than Snivy though. I think Oshawotts are only A class so far. And again, you notice they continue to do really, really well with all of the water starters. Rowlet has one of the coolest lines for a grass starter. I think it's just a straight up A class. It's better than Snivy. It's cute as fuck. Has literally one of the best first evolutions out of the entire list. You can't tell me Rowlet isn't cute as fuck. I think Rowlet's actually an A+. I think it's better than Oshawott because the whole line just makes sense. The whole line just makes sense. Trico, I'm going to leave Trico for a little bit. Trico requires careful deliberation, careful thought process, careful everything. You can't just place Trico. It doesn't work like that. Popplio, on the other hand, I'm going to let you know is another D. It's another D. I don't like this entire line. I don't think there's one saving grace about the Popplio line. You know what? It's better than Sobble, though. That's its only saving grace, is it's not the E tier. Litten, the thing about Litten is it has a fire shiny as well. Litten's better than Tepig, better than Snivy, better than Oshawott, actually. Litten is currently our top of the line A tier starter. And I don't know if there's much else I have to say about it other than like, it's just there. It just belongs there. And then we get to Charmander, which is just a bona fide S tier, better than Froakie. The shiny is just as good as Greninja's, but it has a better rest of its line. I mean, Charmander is just, listen, it's a basic choice. You know, you're going to get called a basic bitch if you have this opinion, but the Charmander line is just fire. I, honest to God, do not think Pokemon would be where it is right now without the Charmander line. Charizard is the most popular Pokemon, period. I do not think Pokemon goes on to be the most profitable brand, period, ever, or franchise ever, or game, whatever the fuck. I know they're the most like profitable something, okay? They do not go on to be that without Charmander's line. This is factual. You cannot tell me I'm wrong, and I'm moving on. There's literally nothing else to be said. It's Charmander, the easiest S tier you could ever have is Charmander. Now we get Torchic. My Gen 3 bias wants to put Torchic up in S class, but Torchic's hard. I'm gonna let you know Torchic is straight up A+ or top of A minimum. Torchic's better than Litten, better than Rowlet even. So it automatically is A+. I don't think it's better than Blastoise and the Squirtle line, and Mudkip by default has to be better than it because of that. I love Torchic. I usually pick Torchic if I'm not picking Mudkip, but I think it can't go any higher than this. It loses to Blastoise because Blastoise is still one of the sickest starter third evolutions of all time. A tanky ass turtle with two massive cannons cannot be beaten. And then we get to Trico, who is honestly the sickest of the Gen 3 trio. It's not a high S class. I think it's maybe even top of A+, but it is, to me, the bona fide best Gen 3 starter. Ironically enough, though, I rarely ever choose Trico when I start. I usually choose Mudkip, and I think that's just because I enjoy using Mudkip more, but I think everything about Trico and Trico's line just makes it better. Grovyle is the best second evolution of a starter, period. And then you get Sceptile, who holds its own as a third evolution. And then on top of that, in the mystery dungeon games, Grovyle is dope as fuck. Grovyle, I think, has a pretty big story importance in, I think, Explorers of Sky or something. One of the mystery dungeon games. Trico is in S tier. Currently, the best grass starter we have so far. Chikorita, on the other hand, is pretty basic. I think it's better than Snivy. I like the line more, but I can't put it higher than B. Chikorita's cute. Meganium's is cool, but it's just kind of basic. I mean, its design is just a quadruped that's really rounded and tall and has like leaves. And it maintains that design philosophy well into the rest of its line. If we look up the Chikorita evolution line here, it maintains the design philosophy of quadruped with some leaves, very round. That's the only diss I have on the Chikorita line. It's just kind of basic. It's just kind of boring, but it's good. It's executed well. It's just like, it could have been, you know, throw some spice in it. It's just a round quadruped with leaves. You could have done a little bit more than that. Let's be real. Moving on to Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is the weakest, in my opinion. It has the cutest first evolution of Generation 1, but I think the rest of its line gets progressively weaker. Though Venusaur and Ivysaur are not really weak, they're just fire. Chikorita should go to F tier. Listen, here's why you're wrong. Because everything below Chikorita exists. But Chikorita is not a fumble. Chikorita is not a Scorbunny. It's not a Popplio. And God above, it's not a Sobble. All right? God above, it's not a Sobble. Bulbasaur, on the other hand, dope line, worse than Blaziken, better than Rowlet, but it is the worst of the Generation 1. But it goes to show you, they really hit Generation 1 out of the park because all three of them are A+ guaranteed. Guaranteed. Same thing with Gen 3. Same thing with Gen 3. Turtwig, I think the weakest generation, or the weakest evolution 2, the middle evolution, one of the cutest first evolutions, and one of the coolest third evolutions. That being said, it's worse than Bulbasaur. Better than Rowlet. Rowlet's actually getting moved down into A tier, now that I think about it. I don't think Rowlet can be an A+. Chespin, on the other hand, doo-doo water. Doo-doo water. Better than Scorbunny, though, but doo-doo water. Chespin is... I do not even understand what they were going for with Chespin. Now we have two of the harder ones to place for me. Fennekin could have been so cool. A psychic fire type could have been so cool when I heard about its typing. But I really think with Delphox and whatever the fuck the other evolution is, they kind of fumbled it. They really did. I do not like the final evolution of Fennekin all that much. The typing is so cool. Could have been so dope, but they fumbled. They fumbled Fennekin. I think Fennekin is still better than Scorbunny and Chespin, but it loses to everything else. It just loses. For good reason, too. It has a cool concept. One of the coolest typings on the whole list, but they fucked up its design. And then we get to Chimchar. Chimchar has an admittedly very, very cool line, and it has to be A+ at minimum. At minimum, it has to be A+. Okay? But I do not know where in this echelon of starters. A+ and SS, these two tiers are just bangers on bangers on bangers, and sorting out the intermittent tier sorting is difficult. I believe in my heart and soul that I like Blaziken more. Admittedly, that is because of my Gen 3 bias. Again, keep in mind, Generation 3 is my favorite generation, bar none. There is not a generation that comes close to Generation 3 for me. I am that much of a Generation 3 simp, okay? Too much water? Suck it up, pussy. The Chimchar line is so sick. The issue, honestly, to me, is where I have Torchic, because I like Blaziken more than Infernape. But sometimes I'm like, I like Infernape more than Sceptile sometimes. And yet Sceptile is an S tier. So Chimchar is honestly, probably because it's the last one we're placing, one of the hardest ones for me to place. I think it's guaranteed better than Torterra. I think it's guaranteed better than Venusaur and the Bulbasaur line and whatnot. It loses to Blaziken, though. And Blaziken loses to Blastoise. And Blastoise loses to Swampert. I think the issue is I have Sceptile and Trico in S tier, when what I really think should be happening here is this moves down to here. These move up. I think you're better than Piplup, too. I think Piplup's the worst S tier. Man, the water starters, Generation 1 through 5, they just banged out fire water starters. Can we talk about that? Why do the water starters always have to be flames and then they started being doggy doo-doo water? But I think Chimchar, I think this is the list. I think this is the list. What have we learned from this experience? Well, for one, like I just said, we have learned that Game Freak must be water starter fiends over there. Generation 1 through 5, they did not miss on a single water starter, which is crazy to me. They did not fumble a single water starter, which is nuts. Nuts! We learned that without Charmander, honestly, even though Cynical is my favorite, I have to put Charmander above it, I realize. Because without Charmander, we probably don't get the rest of the list. Charmander made Pokemon, and I refuse to be told otherwise. They tried so hard to ship Pikachu, and yet Pikachu is still somehow not the most popular Pokemon. It's still Charizard. I think, unironically, if they never make the Charmander line, Pokemon is half as successful as it is now. Which, let's be real, even if Pokemon was half as successful as it is now, it would still be incredibly successful, which is fucked. Really puts it into perspective how dummy good and how dummy dominant Pokemon is.